I'm back. Uh, and I cut us off in Psalm 15 in verse 4. That's for my sake, maybe not for yours. Let's go back. As a real read, it's not very long. Let's read the whole thing. Lord, who may dwell in your sacred tent? Who may live on your holy mountain? Questions that Gentiles would never ask, but a Jew would, especially a Jew in David's day. The one whose walk is blameless, he answers his own questions. Who does what is righteous? Who speaks the truth from their heart? Whose tongue utters no slander? Who does no wrong to a neighbor and casts no slur on others? Who despises a vile person but honors those who fear the Lord? Who keeps an oath even when it hurts and does not change their mind? Who lends money to the poor without interest, who does not accept a bribe against the innocent. Whoever does these things will never be shaken. Let's go back to what we have as verse 4. Who despises a vile person but honors those who fear the Lord, who keeps an oath even when it hurts. I think I told you, the King James Version says, who swears to his own hurt and repenteth not. That's a big one. We don't live in a world where that kind of reliability and that kind of honor is normal. When it happens, and it does still, but when it happens, I don't know about you, but for me, I kind of, it's sort of like, wow, didn't see that coming. Well, David says that's the kind of person who can dwell on God's holy hill. And then he says, who does not change their mind. Okay, does this mean we're talking just people who are, they're intractable? You will never change their mind. I've had people like that in my life, and well, I want to be harsh, but I have to be honest. I think I ought to be honest and say they were very frustrating people. And you know, one of the most frustrating of those people is me. I can be so hard-headed. Used to try to blame my parents for that. My dad was like that. Probably his old man was like that. Yeah, I'm sorry. They're both dead. I can't blame them. Even if they were still alive, it'd be senseless to blame them. I am how I am by my own choice. To be a person who does not change their mind, you have to remember this is in connection to, it's like the balance with the idea that they keep their promises. They keep an oath even when it hurts. In other words, they keep their oaths when other people would say, that's too hard, I'm excused. They don't change their mind about, number one, about their oath. They don't change their mind. And I'm going to kind of extrapolate that and say, I think these people don't change their mind about what's right and what's wrong. They I guess I would say maybe they could be fluid in their approach to life, but you can't be a consistent person if you're constantly changing your mind. Yes, no, yes, no. I mean, well, okay, you can take that to an extreme. And one of the extremes would be, I said no. Don't confuse me with the facts. My mind is made up. I don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that person either. On the other hand, when appropriate new information is presented that makes my decision need to be revised to some degree, I ought to have humility enough to say, well, the new information, well, okay, let's adjust the decision. I have a friend who used to have a little card on his desk that says, some people are so open-minded their brains are falling out. Don't be that. I don't want to be that. I don't want you to be that. And I'm a little bit disgusted with culture because sometimes the idea of that sort of open-mindedness is so promoted that if you have made up your mind, then you're positioned as you're just one of them, one of those kinds. And that may or may not be true. All right. The point is, if a person keeps an oath, even when it hurts, and they do not change their mind, you can count on them. If I was an owner of a business, which I would be a horrible owner of a business, which is why I'm not, I would want that kind of person on my staff. I would want to surround myself with that kind of person. When it came to making decisions for what do we do next and what direction should we take and why and how we're going to get there, those are the kind of people I would want at the table. They're the kind of people who make a church effective in having an impact in the world, in their community, in their neighborhood. One of the marks, if and when, one of the defining marks of a Christian is this kind of reliability and consistency. I think the whole idea of being a Christian becomes more attractive, okay? And it's got to go beyond that. But if it doesn't start with some kind of attraction, it won't gain anything further. Okay, keep going. Verse 5, who lends money to the poor without interest. One of the commands given by God through Moses to Israel was that they were not permitted to loan money to a fellow Israelite at interest. 0 interest was that was prescribed, commanded. Our economy, I'm not saying it's a sin, I'm just saying it makes me go, Our economy is founded on loaning money at interest. When you come down to it, if my tiny little retirement fund most of it is in investment. What am I doing? In a way, I'm loaning my money to them because I'm going to get interest back, right? It's a weird deal. As I'm recording this, our country is you have to take a political stance to decide, are we in a recession or is this just an inflationary period? You decide. But I'll tell you, one of the main ways that the federal government is trying to rein in high inflation is through what? Well, the Fed raises the interest rate, meaning our economy is tied directly to charging interest on loans. I don't know whether that's right, wrong, indifferent. I don't know. I know it is. Now, let's leave today and go back to when David penned this psalm, this poem. And it's very interesting to me that as he draws the character profile of this person who could live in fellowship with God, you've got a number of very important, everything on, if he made this into a grocery list, everything on it is noble and good and honorable because it's founded on honesty and authenticity. And he includes who lends money to the poor without interest. When God gave that law to Moses that no interest could be charged by a Hebrew from a Hebrew. In other words, if they're a Jew, you don't charge any interest. And now he says, if they're poor, you don't charge any interest. What's the point of that? Two things, I think, possibly. One, it's just saying treat the poor with dignity, the same dignity that you treat every other Jewish brother or sister in your community. Treat them with respect. And there is this strong possibility that if it was a poor Gentile person, they're free to charge interest. According to law, no, because their need as a poor person trumps the idea that you could profit from their need. Okay, that's a principle that is worth unpacking a little bit, and I think I have to be very careful with it, and I think everybody should in this. If I'm a pastoral counselor and I have a fee. Is it right for me to charge people to do for them what they need? And if I'm not supposed to charge interest to poor people, when I have people who come to me and, man, if they got $5 of discretionary money this week, that's a big deal. I want to be able to say to them, it's okay. It's okay. My dream is that my practice will grow to the point my income derived from it will be such that I am able to say to people who are truly poor, what can you pay? And not cheat your family and not harm yourself. Because on the other side of this thing is, I have learned if it costs you nothing, you don't invest very much effort into it. For my years living in Vegas, the term is you got to have some skin in the game. I see, when you lend money to the poor without interest, this is an expression of your desire to be useful and helpful, not self-interested. Our world kind of leans up against that. Our world is generally quite self-interested. I want to teach myself to be less and less and less self-interested. Well, I'm going to close out today, and we'll pick it up next time on So Care with Stevie Boy.